Now, the next discussion on authority is how to get away from it. Yeah. Or how to be it and squish down other people. Yeah. It's so heartwarming to resent authority, isn't it? You know, it really gives you a very strong feeling of self. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot about the things we do just to prove to ourselves that we exist as an individual, inherently existent person. You know, all the things we do to bring that strong sense of I, yeah, and that really comes up in the discussion about authority figures, yeah, because they tell me what to do. How dare they? Yeah. And I want to become them because then I can dominate other people. It's a really afflicted, sick kind of way of thinking, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, why would you want to dominate somebody? Simply, well, basically because you don't feel good about yourself. Yeah, you don't have self-confidence. So you try and dominate somebody else, and then that way you prove that the self-grasping ignorance is apprehending a real I, so you exist. And you also get like a little bit of self-confidence. Yeah, I'm in charge here. Yeah, shut up and do what I say. Mm-hmm. We're so kind. Yeah. Okay. So I thought this session, I want to get into talking about the monastic mind prayer. You know, somebody suggested that I do that. But I thought this session, before getting into that exactly, because some people are curious about, they're window shopping about what monastery to go to. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to check this one out. I check that one out. I check this one out. And whichever one serves the food I like, I'll stay there. Yeah. Or whichever one respects me. Yeah. Are you going to the a monastery so that your ego will be respected? Yeah. What is our motivation? Are we going to tame our afflictions, to tame our mind? Or are we going to have our emotional needs met? Or are we going to become somebody and have a career? You know, this is really something to look at because people come for all different sorts of reasons. And, to really come with the proper motivation so that you derive benefit from ordination, and so that you can really contribute, we have to look closely at our motivation. Okay? So, for example, the thing about it being a career. And people, I get letters from people, I want to become a monastic so that I can teach Buddhism. Well, it's nice that you want to teach Buddhism, but that's not the reason for getting ordained. Because if you're just looking for a teaching degree, go to a regular university. Yeah. And you can become a university professor about Buddhism. Okay. Yeah. Our motivation for becoming a monastic is because we realize that our mind is full of garbaggio. That's a nice word for afflictions, and that's causing us pain, making us do things that harm other people, keep us in cyclic existence again and again and again. Yeah. So the motivation has to be done within the world or worldview of what the Buddha taught, not the worldview of this one life and I want to make a name for myself. Okay, are you getting what I mean? Some people say, "Oh, I want to ordain because I want to be a translator." Yeah, it's nice to learn to be a translator. We need translators, but that's not the motivation to become a monastic. Yeah. Again, you can go to a regular university and enroll in a Tibetan studies course and learn Tibetan that way, or learn Chinese, or learn Swahili, whatever you want to learn. Okay, you don't need to become a monastic to be a translator. Yeah, and so somebody becoming a monastic shouldn't have that idea of, oh, now I'm going to have a career. I know in the Catholic Church, they call it a vocation. They test to see if you have a vocation. Yeah, meaning that to see if you fit with what they're offering, if it's a good fit. But vocation does not mean you have a career and a job and a title. Okay. When you become a monastic, you get a title according to the tradition. Yeah. Somebody, they call you venerable, they call you achan, they call you sifu. Yeah, that's nice. That's the kind of the title that everybody in that who's ordained in that tradition gets. Yeah. But are you proud of your title? Oh, now people don't call me by my name. They call me Sifu. Yeah. Of course, there's 200 other Sifus there. Yeah. Okay. So we don't ordain to have a career. Our parents would like us to have a career. Our parents would like us to say, I ordain so that I can become a teacher. I ordain so that I can be a translator. Yeah. Because you have a label like that your parents, it satisfies your parents. My parents kept saying, what are you in the world are you doing? What mistake did we make that you are going to Nepal where they don't have flush toilets? What do we tell our friends? And for your parents, that's a big thing, what they tell their friends, because their friends are talking about their children and their grandchildren. Your parents talk about their children and their grandchildren. And they were hoping that you would add to the family number of grandchildren. Yeah. And, what's your mom going to say? Oh, my daughter is now an achan. She's now a sifu. She's now a venerable. Huh? Why the other ones say, well, my daughter, my son, they're a doctor, they're a this, they're a that. They live in this really nice place. They have a family. I had they have 2 kids, and now I have 10 grandchildren. And we have, and they can't say that about you. Yeah. So then what? Yeah. Do you feel like you've disappointed your parents? Do you feel like you're a nobody? Because, one of the big indicators that we've existed on this planet is having kids. Kids are your legacy. Yeah, your kids are your legacy. Yeah. And, we don't kind of fit what our parents want to say we're doing. Yeah. So it brings up issues of, again, why are we getting ordained? Are we tied to filling or fulfilling our parents' expectations? Yeah. And also, to what extent have we internalized the societal value of you have to have a career? Yeah, you have to have I am a fill in the blank, okay? And we've internalized that. So what do we say? I'm a nobody. Yeah, my parents were, I think I told you this before, were so happy, when my mom found out that I was invited places to teach and they picked me up at the airport. I was like, oh, now she can say that to her friends. They were even happier, get this. Okay, well, first of all, I have to tell you what I was like as a kid. My family liked talking about real estate and stocks and, financial things. They liked that. I thought it was so boring with a capital B, and they would talk about it at dinner table, when company came over, things like that. Not all the time, but it was a topic, and I just was bored. And they knew it, okay? But when I was looking for land to start the Abbey, yeah, I didn't know anything about real estate, and what you have to do to buy properties and what you have to check out and loans and all this kind of stuff. I knew nothing because didn't pay attention whenever the family talked about it. Yeah. So what did I do? I had to call mom and dad and say, okay, they're talking about interest points on loans. What does that mean? Yeah. They're talking about the different kind of values, the appraised value, the market value. Yeah. What are those? Anyway, because I needed to know this stuff, and my parents were so happy. Yeah. And they said, finally, our daughter is doing something useful. She's going to buy property. Well, it's not my property, it's the monastery's property, but she's doing something useful. And she's going to be the CEO of the monastery. Yeah. So I told you the original residents were me and 2 cats. So I was the CEO of the monastery. Yeah. Okay. So but it brings up the issue of, what do we want to have a title? Do we want to have a name? Yeah. What are our goals in life? My younger brother, who's this much bigger than me, my little brother, once cornered me, and he said, this was some years ago, and he said, oh, what do you want to be in 5 years? Yeah. I mean, he was a doctor. So, you have to be somebody, yeah. And I was supposed to be a doctor, but I didn't, And he said, what do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want to do in 5 years? Yeah, what are your goals for 5 years? And I paused and I said, to be a kinder person. What kind of goal is that? Yeah. So he said, well, don't you want to, start a community? Don't you want to do this, do that? And I was like, no, really, my goal in 5 years 10 years, my whole life, is to be kinder. That was very puzzling to him. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it brings us back to our motivation. And do we want a title? Do we want a position? Do we want a career? Yeah. Do we want just a place to live? Yeah, where we can live for free, do a little bit of work, they feed us, they're kind of nice people, and it's nice. I don't have to get a job. Yeah, they'll take care of me when I get old. In the temples in Asia, especially the Chinese tradition, um, what often happens is when people are elderly, their partner has died, and so the people who are Buddhists, then they want to ordain, because they say, I might as well ordain and create some merit before I die too. And so they used to ordain all of these elderly people. And a couple of years ago, they set an age limit. I think, was it 60 or 65? 65, which I thought was like, what kind of age limit is that for ordaining? That's pretty old. Yeah. But they were getting people in their 70s and 80s who, were having a lot of problems bowing, following the schedule and everything. So what happens now, and what happens too for many of the elderly people that don't want to become monastics, is they become volunteers at the temple. This is in Asia primarily. Here, not so much. Yeah. So, but we have people applying to come here, and you can tell from their applications it's because they basically want a place to live. Yeah. And some food and something that's comfortable. Some of the stories are kind of, they sound funny. We got one man who wrote us, and he said, I'm in Florida, I'm coming out, I'm new to Buddhism, I want to be a monk, I'm starting to drive there tomorrow, and I'll be there, in 5 days or whatever, and I want to be a monk. Yeah, what was his motivation? So, just they say that it's tremendous merit to be able to ordain. It's incredible merit to be a monastic and to hold the precepts and to practice with the precepts. But, looking for a place to live isn't the motivation. Yeah. Okay. So, so just to keep that in mind and check up. Yeah. And the motivation isn't to go to a monastery so that you can find your better half. Is that what they call spouses? Yeah, your better half. Yeah. And then when you divorce, they become your worst half. Okay. But, some people go to Buddhist centers to meet somebody. Well, that's nice. I've had people come to the retreats and the courses I lead who have fallen in love and gotten married, or I should say fallen in attachment and gotten married. And yeah, but that wasn't, those people I know quite well, that wasn't why they came to the Buddha, to the things. But I'm sure some people do. Yeah, if you look at some of the Buddhist magazines, yeah, they the ads, it's always young, attractive people. Yeah. Yeah. Just American consumerism. Another thing to be on the lookout for, or maybe a thing that you should have in mind, is it's not just about finding a monastery to live in. Yeah. It's about the first things you have to do is you have to, you're not going around window shopping, but there has to be a tradition of teachings that really speaks to your heart. And that a teacher who teaches that and who you really connect with at a heart level. Yeah, that's really important. Where you live is secondary. Yeah, but the having the teachings that you really jive with and the teacher, those are the essential things. Yeah. And since Buddhism is new in the West, there aren't a lot of monasteries. Yeah, there's a lot of Dharma centers. Yeah, some of you have lived at Dharma centers. Yeah, monasteries are totally different than Dharma centers. Um, yeah, so it's something to keep in mind. Yeah, you don't go around and, okay, let's see, if I ordain here, which bedroom will they give me? I want one with a nice view. Uh, yeah. Okay. So, and then I should also warn you, when you first come, you're so enthusiastic. You love everything, almost, maybe not the pickles and peanut butter, but, it's like, oh, Dharma is wonderful. And then you ordain. Why are you laughing? What happened after you ordained? What should I warn them about? You want me to tell them what happened? Yes, you're so enthusiastic when you come. You're very cooperative. Whatever anybody asks you to do, you do. You're very happy. You like the people. You ordain. And then the opinion factory gets revved up again. And why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? This doesn't make any sense. They decorated the meditation hall like this. The colors don't match. The schedule is ridiculous. Yeah. The food doesn't have enough protein. It doesn't have enough ice cream. Yeah. And yeah, your opinion factory starts going wild. And you want to change everything. Yeah. You're brand new, but you know how the monastery should be run. Yeah. Are you agreeing? Yeah. Okay. And so then you start offering your profound advice to the seniors who have been training for years and years about how they can improve the monastery. And then they say to you, did you come here to get your way, or did you come here to train your mind? And you say, to train my mind. You think, to get my way. Yeah. And then you really have suggestions for everything. Yeah. And especially if it's a new monastery. When I lived in France at the beginning of Deutsche Pomo, and every new person who came wanted to change the schedule. Yeah. It's amazing. Well, why did we come here? To mold it so it becomes what we want? Or did we come over here, did we come here to do something about our afflictions, to reduce our self-centered thought? So this is a continuous thing that happens in the monastery. Some of you have been here years and years and years. Does it still come up? Yeah. I know how it should be run. And they don't listen to me. They don't respect me. I have so much wisdom. Yeah. I had a career before I ordained, so I know how things should be run. Yeah. I made X amount of money before I ordained. I had a good job. I know what I'm talking about. Why are these people so stuck in their ways? You say about the elders. Yeah. Buddha were here, you'd say that about the Buddha too. Yeah. Buddha, why did you set up that precept? That precept just doesn't make any sense. I know you did it for a culture that existed 25 centuries ago. But you're omniscient. You should have updated it so it applies to our century. Our mind is so funny, So you begin to see these kinds of things. Yeah, things about yourself that maybe you knew you had, but you thought were good qualities. Yeah, I thought my opinion factor was the greatest, I have really good opinions. Plenty of them. Whenever you need one, you could ask me. But nowadays, people ask me for my opinions on things, and I just want to run away because it's so many opinions. Like, on the altar, should we put the blue bowl here or over there? Yeah. Should we have lots of little lights going on? And what about that picture of His Holiness? Should we take that over to the Buddha Hall and hang somewhere? And by the way, where should I go pee-pee? Yeah. So you either want to share all your wonderful ideas with everybody and have them thank you profusely for it, or you want to just say, okay, tell me what to do. And then I'll say, yes, but. Because I really know what I want to do. But I'm asking you because I want the stamp of approval. So if somebody asked me why I put the blue bowl over there and not over here, I could say, Venerable told me so. Do you remember when you were a kid? Yeah, You say, Mom, Dad told me so. The teacher told me so. Yeah, that means don't blame me. Anyway, how did I get on that topic? So, to train your mind, yeah. Yeah. So that's always the thing to look at, you know. Do I really think that awakening is possible? Yeah. Doesn't mean I have to have 100% reliable inference about it, but do I have some inkling that awakening is possible? Is that something I want to go towards? Yeah, even if it takes me eons and eons. Yeah. So motivation is quite important. Another thing to look at is, you know, when you first come, especially when you're young, okay, it's like, yes, this is exciting, I want to do this. Yeah. But it's also important to think, yeah, when I'm 50 or 60 years old, if I live that long, what do I want my life to be like? What are my goals in my life? How am I going to feel when I go and visit family, for example, and the relatives say, oh, you know, do you miss having a spouse and kids? Yeah, how are you going to feel when you see all your old high school friends? Yeah, they have a career, a position, they bought their own house, they have a spouse, maybe also a divorce in there too. You know, then they have kids, they have a nice income, a nice car, they have everything, yeah? Then how are you going to feel when you see these people? Are you going to say, oh, yeah, I really, you know, it would be so nice to have children, and I missed out on that. Or, you know, I'm 60 years old and I don't have a huge 501, no, no, a 401k or a SEP or an IRA. Yeah, I don't have any of that. Who's going to support me when I'm old? Yeah. Are they going to kick me out of the monastery? After I work so hard, are they going to just kick me out? What am I going to pay for? Even if I stay there? I'm not going to have money to pay for things. This is terrible. You know, why did I ordain? I should have just been a lay practitioner and gotten a job, had my kids, you know, because when you're old, then your kids will take care of you. You live in a monastery, you know, and there's only all the other old people who are going to take care of you because the young ones are too busy doing something else. Yeah. Yeah. So we're just going to hobble around from room to room. Yes. We did a great skit about that, yeah. We should do that again, yeah. You were very good. Yeah. Um, you know, what's going to happen to me? And I don't have kids. When I die, you know, are they even going to write an obit? Why should they write an obit? I look like everybody else. Yeah, there's nothing distinctive about me. Yeah. And everybody starts with depending where you're ordained, maybe everybody has the first name Tenzin. I don't even, that's not even my personal name, or everybody has the first name Thubten. Huh, you know? How am I going to be remembered? Are they going to just, burn my body and sprinkle the ashes up on that? Have you been to Sukhavati yet? No? You have. You haven't taken them on a walk to Sukhavati? You haven't taken them in the truck?
Well, we've seen the first 30 meters of Sukhavati.
Oh, the first 30 meters, okay. Sukhavati it's a very nice knoll up there. And that's where we scatter ashes. Sometimes lay people give us the ashes of a deceased loved one, and then we sprinkle the ashes there. Okay. So we might think, is that what they're going to do with my body? There's not even a stone that marks the place where they buried me. At least in a Chinese monastery, they have columbariums, and you burn the body, and then you put the ashes in a small thing, and the whole room is lined with rows and rows with the little, I don't know what you call the individual ones. What? Urns. Yeah, urns with a picture and your name on it. Yeah. And they're filled like that. And you go, are they going to do that for me? Are they going to sprinkle the ashes there? Or Sravasti Abbey has a plot out there. Yeah, that's going to be a cemetery. And you don't get a nice to choose your coffin. Yeah, they're going to dig a ditch, wrap you in your monastery robes, and throw the body in. Whee! Yeah, singing, Namo. Whee! Yeah. Oh. Yes. What?
We throw all the stuffed animals in with you?
You have what?
All the stuffed animals.
Oh, yes, you have to bring them too. Yeah. I don't want you all sitting there going, or, oh, good, the Wicked Witch is dead. Or, yeah. No, I want you, yeah. Do Namo Amitofo. And maybe I'll listen and I'll go to Amitofo's Pure Land. Yeah. But your mind can go to all sorts of things. What's it going to be like? What do I want? When I compare myself to my siblings, or to my cousins, or to my high school friends, yeah, what are they going to think of me? Okay, so these are things that it's really good, project yourself several decades in the future, yeah, and think, will I be happy then with the choices I made now? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And you also have to be sure that you want to be celibate. Yeah. If you're not so sure, then you're going to have a really rough time. Okay. So, yes, it's challenging to be celibate, but you have to really want that. Yeah. Because you've examined, what happens when you have a relationship. So it's not just not having the sex, but it's not having the special person who loves you to death, who's always going to stick up for you, who's your special confidant. You're not going to have that. Yeah. So how are you going to feel about that? Yeah. Especially when we've been brought up on these obnoxious fairy tales. Yeah. Excuse me if I call them obnoxious, but they are, aren't they? They're all a bunch of conspiracy theories. Yeah. Yeah. Cinderella. No, it was Cinderella with Prince Charming, or was it Sleeping Beauty? Why was she asleep? She was trying to meditate, huh? Okay. What? Snow White? What? Snow White. No, Snow White or Sleeping Beauty? Snow White. I think all of us do. Yeah. Yeah, we should. Boy, we're really uneducated about all the things we knew by heart as kids. Yeah. I really enjoyed when you did that BBC. He did a BBC where he talked about Little Red Riding Hood, and dissected it in terms of, ethical conduct. And then he also found a way to say that, she had a good motivation. Even the wolf had a good motivation. Yeah, it was very clever. So, yeah, but we got indoctrinated with all that stuff when we were kids. Yeah, and it's probably different according to the culture. Yeah, but that stuff went in kind of deep, and we have to really deal with it and ask ourselves, is that going to make me happy? Is that going to make my life useful, meaningful? Yeah. As we, go to sleep, yeah, don't eat a poison apple, okay? Just go to sleep. And dream of, Prince Charming coming on his white horse. No, you don't want Prince Charming coming on his white horse. The horse will go poop right in front. Yeah. And, a big wedding where you are the star. Yeah. When you get married, you are the star. Of course, everything before that is your parents controlling the situation because you're their child and they're going to have the kind of wedding they want to have so that their friends will think, well, okay. But yeah, do you want to do that? Oh, queen for the day, king for the day. Everybody comes and says, you look so good. You're such a wonderful couple. Yeah, I remember when I was young. Yeah, all this sentimental stuff that we've been educated in. Yeah? Do we want to give that up? Well, if I can't have a wedding day, I'll have an ordination day. I'll put on my best clothes, do my hair really nice. Everybody will go, oh, you look so good as a monastic. Why didn't you get married? Okay, so these are the kinds of things that we have to think about before we ordain and have some kind of clarity about. Because if we aren't clear about them, and if we don't keep thinking about them, then in time, all the old familiar habits will, and visualizations and so on, will come back. And then you start doubting, why am I ordained? Yeah. And if you start doubting, then your mind's really unhappy, really unclear. Yeah. And, if you stay ordained, you're not happy. If you give back your ordination, you may think that it's going to be happiness, but there's a lot of leftover baggage and you aren't so happy. Yeah. Why? Because samsara doesn't bring lasting happiness. Yeah. So I remember one of my teachers saying, it's not the ordination that brings you problems and doubts. It's your mind. The ordination is not the problem. The mind is the problem. Yeah. Why is the mind the problem? Because we follow afflictions. Yeah. Our afflictions arise and we say, yep, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to say, I'll do it. Yeah. Okay. So, maybe there, what? Do a what?
Prayers.
Prayers? You want to do prayers? Yeah, it was a good introduction. Because I gave it, of course. Okay, we can do prayers. Mm. Yeah, maybe the introduction will really encourage you when you take refuge to say that you're taking refuge, to really take refuge. Yeah, to really entrust your spiritual guidance to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to really be clear about your, the Buddhist worldview. And do you accept that? Do you see your life in terms of multiple rebirths? Yeah. Do you believe in karma, that what you do is going to influence where you're reborn? Yeah, and what you're reborn as, and that what you are now is a result of karma. Yeah, is that your worldview, or do you think that you just it's just this life, and when this body dies, then everything stops? In which case, the purpose of your life is basically to have as much pleasure as possible. Yeah. So, this kind of discussion makes us check. And when I say I take refuge, am I really taking refuge? What is my refuge? Do I ever take refuge in friends? Do I take refuge in food? Do I take refuge in, putting on a good show? What do I take refuge in? What do I turn to for guidance in my life? Yeah. Okay. So this kind of understanding develops slowly in your Dharma practice. It's not going to be there from the very beginning. It develops slowly because you hear teachings, you think about teachings, you meditate on them, and then you begin to understand things at another level. So it takes time, but we have to have some kind of feel for it, some kind of inkling for it, before ordaining. I once shared a room with somebody who was going to ordain the next day. And she was so angry. I can't remember what she was angry at, but I just remember she's getting ordained the next day and she's just angry, angry, angry. And I was wondering, why is she ordaining? She turned out to be a good nun, but I wondered, how did that come about? Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to do prayers. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. For reminding me, because your teacher is a dimwit. Okay, so do the visualization.
To the teacher endowed, transcendent destroyer, oneness gone, foe destroyer, completely and fully awakened one, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, one gone to bliss, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed. Teacher of gods and humans, to you the Buddha endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I bow. With pure bodies, form supremely fine, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain. Fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best supreme guide, to you I bow. With the supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I bow. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I bow. Great compassionate protector, all-knowing teacher, field of merit and good qualities, vast as an ocean, to the Tathagata I bow. Through purity, freeing from attachment, through virtue, freeing from the lower realms. Unique, supreme, ultimate reality, to the Dharma that is peace I bow. Having freed themselves, showing the path of freedom too, well established in the trainings. The holy field endowed with good qualities, to the Sangha I bow. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind completely, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through this merit may sentient beings attain the state of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from the ocean of cyclic existence, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strewn Mount Meru, foreland, sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you, may all beings enjoy this your land. Venerable holy gurus, in the space of your truth body, from billowing clouds of your wisdom and love, let fall the rain of the profound and extensive Dharma, in whatever form is suitable for subduing sentient beings Edam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniriyatayami.
I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. So take a few minutes to calm the mind and then start thinking about what you just heard and kind of checking what your motivation for interest in monastic life is and how you think you'll feel if you get to your old age and you haven't done what everybody else has done. You don't have what everybody else has. So people may have questions or comments. Yeah.
Earlier you mentioned the transition people when they first start out, the great enthusiasm for everything, and then transitioning over to the opinion-making mind. And I was wondering if you had thoughts on psychologically what's happening with that shift. And if you see that with everyone, or if it's the majority or a minority.
No, I don't. I haven't kept tabs with how many people do that. Yeah. What do you think? Everybody? Yeah, you think everybody do. Yeah. What do you guys think? Oh, you guys don't think. Yeah, I think because when something is new, it's always exciting. It's like, you fall in love. This person is the best thing in the universe. And then you get married, and then they're old hat. You're used to them. And you want something else new and exciting. So I think basically that's it. Yeah. Not only that it's losing the pizzazz because it's not new and exciting anymore, but because you're also beginning to see your afflictions more clearly. Yeah, and when we first see our afflictions, yeah, we go, here's what it says, and here's what I think and do. I don't measure up. Yeah, so that happens. Yeah. So it's actually quite important. Don't compare yourself to other people. Yeah, that is a huge trap. As soon as you start comparing yourself to other people, your mind's going to be a mess. Yeah, because when you compare them, either you're going to be better. Of course, I'm better. Yeah, why am I better? Because I am me, and I'm the best. And so I'm comparing myself. I'm the best. I know how things should be done. These people are stupid and ignorant, and they don't listen to me. You're not going to be very happy living in community. Or you start to notice your afflictions and compare yourself to others and, oh, I'm such a loser. Everybody else in the hall is in samadhi. And my mind is restless, going all over the globe. Yeah, I can't even sit still. Everybody else can sit in pretzel position, but I can't. Yeah. And I'm so attached to food. They don't have the kind of food I like. If only I could go on an errand and stop by. Should I go to KFC? Should I go to Starbucks? McDonald's? And you start thinking, I'm just a failure. I can't, I have, yes, everybody else has afflictions, but I have more. Okay, so this whole thing of comparing yourself to others and where you are on the path in relationship to them that's all just samsaric stuff. That's what you've been doing in samsara since you were a little kid, comparing yourself to your brothers and sisters, comparing yourself to the other kids in your kindergarten class. Yeah, comparing yourself to the people that you work with. Yeah, and this, especially in any field, but especially in spiritual things, it's not a contest, and nobody's keeping a scorecard. I'm really sorry, Santa isn't up there, checking off what you've done well and what you've done bad. How does the song go?
Making a list, checking it twice,
Who's what? Nice, yeah. So, you want to have Santa, I'm really sorry. Nobody's doing that. There's, the Buddha doesn't keep some kind of karmic, spreadsheet. Yeah, I know that you were looking forward to being a Buddha who makes spreadsheets, but
Amitabha has a special Pure Land. I could have a special spreadsheet.
yes, you bet. You're going to, know everybody. If you go to Amitabha's Pure Land, know everybody who's coming in, everybody who's going out, how long they've been there. Yeah, how many merits they have, and who has the most merit. Yeah, so that's not what we're very familiar with doing that, but that's not what monastic life is about. It's about freedom from comparing yourself with others. Yeah? Wouldn't that be nice to have a mind that doesn't compare yourself to others? Yeah? Where you can look at other people and rejoice in their good qualities without saying, I'm better than them or they're better than me. Can we look at other people and just see where they get hung up and have some compassion for them instead of saying, oh, well, at least I'm not as bad as they are. Yeah, that makes us feel really good, I'm not as bad as they are. Yeah. So, ordination is about training the mind. All these things we have to train the mind in. It's not that the mind instantaneously changes. We have to train the mind to rejoice in what other people can do well, to feel compassion where they get stuck. And where we are just does not count in it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's something that a familiar thing we have to make unfamiliar.
I did all of that, thinking I'm the best, thinking I'm the worst, and I freaked out a couple of times too. When after ordination, when I was facing my own crazy mind, I really freaked out. I think I was happy for a week or two, and then that was it. Honeymoon was over. That was very quick. But after, I don't know, when I'm not doing both extremes, like finding faults in others to make myself feel better or this kind of stuff, what I found is a lot of humility. It's a very humbling process, seeing all little control I have over my mind. Yeah. And when I stop blaming myself about that or being afraid of it or just just enjoying doing the work. And that I have these robes and these precepts and I'm in this place where I can train and try to work on that. That's a humbling process and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it requires you to get out of those two extremes and so that's difficult, but it's very humbling.
Yeah. Just to be okay with being who you are, practicing the path, feeling incredibly fortunate that you've met the Dharma and you have the conditions to practice, and letting your mind be happy instead of, I've got to attain that. 5 years of ordination, I should have, path of accumulation. Then, after another 5 years, path of preparation. Then, after 10 years, path of seeing. Yeah. But other people may get path of seeing before me. Oh, no. Yeah. No, you're not. Not thinking about that stuff. Just be happy to do your practice. Be happy to create the causes. Be happy when you see, like she talked about in her BBC, that, oh, my mind is acting a little bit different than it usually does. Yeah, that's good. I'm happy. Okay. Mm-hmm.
In the reflection about projecting forward and how do we feel with family or friends about different monastic lifestyle than their worldly achievements, I had a couple of really affirming moments in Australia when I was with my family. One was with my cousin's husband, and he's strong in his Christian faith. And while my mom and my cousin were talking about worldly things and the kids growing around, he really wanted to connect with me about spirituality on that level.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so interested here, and I was interested in what he was doing and connecting around, like, if you have faith, then you're not afraid to die.
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to connect at that level and bring that opportunity for that kind of conversation, and having an interest. I know I could bring something there that I wouldn't have if I was still on the path that I was in my worldly life. And then also with other family members where before I didn't really feel a connection, or I had arrogance, or I just didn't understand. I could go into that situation with a wish to be of benefit. And then the ease that my mind felt going in, and then seeing that I could offer care and support and love,
Mm-hmm.
that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Compared, and then it's like, yeah, that's just precious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think one of the things that became really apparent with me after a while is that the mind that likes to blame other people for our own suffering just really doesn't fly in a community. You don't, in the world, I don't know whether it's just dispersed or we all do it together or something, but when you get into a community that's training in ethical conduct and trying to keep its precepts, and you bring in your blaming mind that when you get upset and pissed off, it's got to be somebody else's fault, it impacts so many people besides just yourself. And so it takes a lot to pull that blaming, projecting, fault-finding mind away from a person that you've just had a misunderstanding with because we do things differently. It takes years to be able to recognize that you own your stuff. And as this community grows, people give each other the space to get upset, own your stuff. Each goes into their corner, takes a walk, does whatever. But the community is very sensitive to conflict. And it can't be, and we can all feel it when people are not getting along. It could be for just a few days or for a year or two. It's just underneath the surface, and everybody knows it. And so you really start to take responsibility and say, I've got to do something about this conflict with this other person. I can't live in this community and be hypocritical about it. I'm trying to train, and here I've got someone I can't stand. What am I doing? So the sensitivity and the community doesn't take sides. So you've got to figure out, why am I so averse to somebody in this community? Is it my jealousy? Is it my arrogance? Is it my sense of insecurity? But the community holds you to a point that I had 1 or 2 relationships I struggled with for years, and it took a lot of effort to just make peace with the relationship and just show kindness. Just show kindness. Get off the pedestal of, I'm pissed, I just like to be pissed at you right now, and I'm just going to keep it like that. So you really stop blaming, and you really start owning your stuff, and then it starts to change, because you can't live in misery in a community that has so much joy, that has teachers that have so much joy. You can't, Amitabha is like in your face all the time, and to say, why don't I like somebody? What is my issue? Not what's their problem, what's my issue? Mm-hmm. And it's really, and everybody knows that there's an issue going on. And they're not going to try to solve it for you. They're not going to try to problem solve it and take it away from you. You've got to figure it out yourself. And you have all the support you need to do that when you're ready to do that.
And that this is Dharma practice. Yeah. Working with your afflictions is Dharma practice. We think Dharma practice is our clothes, our mala, yeah, our altar, our whatever it is, external things. Yeah, even I keep the schedule. That's my Dharma practice. Yeah, Lama Zopa was like just really forceful about it. Your Dharma practice is dealing with your afflictions, you know. And why do you have problems? Like she said, it's not the other person. The problem is the mind, the afflictions. Yeah. And so ordained life is, especially in community, is looking at this. This is why some people like to ordain and live on their own. Yeah, then I can set up my own schedule, do things when I feel like it. I can drink coffee and nobody's going to tell me I can't. I can go to KFC when I want to. You know, I can flirt a little bit with this one and that one. Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, it's nice living on my own. I have my own car. I have my own flat. Yeah. And I have lay clothes because I go to work at a job to earn enough money to pay for all of this. But I wear my robes when I go to the Dharma Center in the evening. Yeah. This is, you know, this is still the situation for many monastics in the West. And for me, it's just really tragic because your mind doesn't get trained living on your own. Yeah. And yeah. And then you feel unhappy. Oh, I'm a monastic, but the lay people don't support me. Well, you don't live together with other monastics, and your lifestyle is like a lay person. So, you know. Yeah, so, you know, some people do live on their own, but I think it's, you really lose out. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's something really beautiful when you have all these Dharma friends. Even though sometimes you get mad at them and they get mad at you, but you realize that underneath it all, you know, here's somebody who has really beautiful aspirations. Yeah. And I get to live with people who have beautiful aspirations. Yes, they have afflictions. So do I. Yeah. We're all working on our afflictions. That's why we're here together. Mm-hmm.
I'd just like to add that in addition to monastics living alone in their own apartments, there are also a number of monastics living in communities who don't have leadership to show them how to live in a way that brings about the benefits of community, the Dharma benefits of community.
Yeah.
So because we're so individualistic to start with, we just stay individuals all living in the same place, and often there's a lot of unresolved tension because nobody's really working with their minds to the degree that they can and would like to.
Yeah. Yeah, you really need somebody who's the leader who really emphasizes this again and again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Going back to Andrea's original question about does everybody go through this and the why. This is my own experience, but also I think my observation that until we get into the situation where we are in community, we don't know the level to which our afflictions are running us. We don't know how deep our ignorance is. And you can even sit in a monastery where you don't have, not pressed too hard, and you don't have to look. So that's really the difficulty, is that we don't really know who we are until we're put in a situation where we have 22 mirrors reflecting back to us the depth of our ignorance and the depth of our suffering, really. And only in this kind of environment can you, because you can't get out of it, you can't leave. You can't just go eat ice cream or turn on the TV and binge watch anything. And so then what's our reaction? Well, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And how come you don't think, this stick always worked. Everybody thought I was cute and funny. Well, you don't. Well, what's wrong with you? Right? But you find out it's just a shtick. That we didn't know we were doing just shticks. It's an important revelation that comes.
Yeah.
That's unavoidable if we're really going to practice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's one of our greatest values is transparency. You have to go through transparently that, and then as you grow and are willing to have a lot of acceptance about where your mind is, and you hold it with a kindness, the community just gathers around you and just says, "Go for it," But the transparency becomes the greatest strength of this community, not hiding and concealing and pretending and imputing and projecting. It's really this level of transparency that it's not sentimental, it's not nostalgic, it's not highly emotional, it's just clear. And that really is the sustaining power of this community. If we weren't transparent with each other, even when we're at our worst, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. And being transparent is not easy. Yeah. Our self-centered thought, our egotistical mind says, I don't want other people to know me like that, those things about me. Actually, they know them already. And we're trying to pretend they don't. They know that we have a problem with anger. They know that we're greedy when it comes to food. They even know, like I said yesterday, our habits about how we eat. Yeah. They know what offering service jobs we like and which ones we don't like. Yeah. So who are we trying to project a good image to? Yeah. It's really just, we always say, I want to be myself. But then when it comes to being ourselves, we don't want anybody to know what that self is. Yeah.
I've had the chance to meet with many monastics over the course of the last 3 years. And it's very obvious people who haven't trained in a community versus people who did. And I'm not judgmental about that. It's so obvious. Even people monastics who've trained in a community for a while and now are living alone, you can see, like, if there's something to do, it takes 10 seconds. Everybody goes to the kitchen, cook. And if there's something that happens and we need help, people who've trained in monasteries, who train in community, they get together, they do the work. There's no hesitation. They know, I don't know, also their behavior, the way they walk, they talk, it's so different. It is so different. And it's what some people who have ordained and live by themselves, they do very uninspiring things. Like, I've seen people drinking coffee with their legs stretched, scrolling Facebook. I don't know. It's very obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Yeah.
Yesterday in your talk, I don't know if you say this, that when you have an image of attachment, you can imagine it until the ridiculousness. Like if you're in the beach with your partner, then you imagine like the ocean is dazzling and the sun is like, do you say that? Like to imagine if you have an attachment and you are already projecting that something is amazing and good, you go and you imagine like exaggerating it. Do you say that? I don't know.
Yeah, I did at one point. I said, you know, if you really have some attachment, then you really enlarge it.
Enlarge it, yeah.
And so it takes over your whole life. This person is fantastic. The beach is wonderful. They write about you in Fortune 400 magazine.
Yeah.
Your family is so proud of you. You just build it up so that it's all there. And then you say, now am I happy?
Mm-hmm. So Venerable, I have to say, I have that kind of mind. And I have the difficult question to ask myself, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? I think what pushed me towards exploring monastic life in this particular way, from all the pains that I was living, were two pains. The pain of not finding that my effort in the world was meaningful, that even if I work and work and work, things were like, but for what? For capitalism, and being very disappointed, and then feeling like my body was being used for death, like war and all of this, because you pay taxes and you participate in a system that oppresses people with your effort. I mean, it's good. We do good things in society, and I think that times we live in are bad. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was having a partner that dumped me. I was like, oh my gosh, this was the man of my life. And I have imagined like profusely all the amazing things we'll have done together if he didn't broke up with me. I think it was okay. He broke up with me. I was not a good partner. I think I was too self-centered. Anyway, I still have that thing, like, maybe the world could be this beautiful place where, like, and maybe it's about all of these things of Cinderella and wherever, like, I was raised there, but then also the education of the world is that if you can imagine that it's good, you go for it, you make effort and you attain it. And when I am confronted with dukkha, pretty often I taste this, like, this doesn't seem pretty true. Yet I don't know how to resolve this tendency. Maybe patience. I don't know what's your advice, because I do this, like, oh yeah, it's a marvelous thing that I can reach. Like what you were saying yesterday about going to Australia in a camel. I have this fantasy. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this and then that. And I was like, well, and then I'm going to do these amazing things and I'm going to the Aurora Borealis. Like, I think the world is like a fantastic, exciting place, but I also have tasted a lot of dukkha, so much. So I have these two things going on at the same time. And then I don't have enough stamina to stay in the world, to build these fantasies that I imagine are so fabulous, because it requires a lot of determination, effort. And then I am like, this effort is not so joyful. So, so often I found myself, I'm talking a lot, I just want to finish with this. Okay, the image is so bright and this is so dazzling and beautiful, but to get there, whoa, that's not dazzling and beautiful. That's a lot of sacrifice that is kind of silly. So I say, so make the noble effort for real. Just quit all of that dazzling thing, go to the monastery and practice in such way that the process of becoming this free being is going to be satisfying. The process is satisfying. Even I really don't understand yet karma. I don't know yet about karma and rebirths and all of that. But doing this work is satisfying. But it's not dazzling like the images of the world.
But what?
It's not dazzling and like, like nice. No, it's not. It's over. It's over. And then, so it's hard for me because I have this strange, I might be like a strong confusion. Please pray for me. I have this need of like the world and all the amazing things that I am going to renounce. And I'm like, no, I don't want to renounce. But then I'm like, but I don't want to do the effort. So it's like, it's just maybe I just need to go again and again until I get the distaste of, wow, the effort to these dazzling things is so unsatisfactory. I really have to stop to believe that this partner, this desert, these amazing things are going to happen to me. I think these, I'm going to say something like, excuse me. I was born pretty. I have this pretty face, and I have this interesting mind and whatever. So I think I have what it takes to be successful in the world. But it's so difficult to just get the ways of the world. Is what? It's slavery. It's true. So it's like, wow, I just have so much attachment. And I really want to continue meeting monastics so I can be inspired to do the noble effort, the joyful effort, because it's true, it's joyful. It's joyful. I just have like, wow, how to renounce. I have not formulated that inside of me yet. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, somebody want to respond to what she said?
That's it.
Huh?
I'm sorry. I would just say start small, like with both. Like enjoy the things that are available for you to enjoy in this dazzling world, and renounce the things that you can sort of let go of. Like, yeah.
Yeah. When we talk about renunciation, we're not renouncing things and people. We're renouncing karma and afflictions and the unsatisfactory result that they bring in a cyclic existence. That's what we're renouncing. If you have the idea, to become a monastic, I have to give up coffee, I'll never do it. What's going to happen to me? If you're really stuck on that, then maybe monastic life isn't for you. You should be a barista. If we're looking for happiness outside, one thing, because like you said, our mind can create all these fantasies of what we're going to do, what we're going to be, blah, 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 blah. Then you think, even if I got that, am I going to be happy? You've gotten a lot of the things you've wanted. Since we were little kids, we've gotten a lot of the things that we wanted. Have any of those things brought you lasting satisfaction and fulfillment in your life? No. So why do you think that continuing to search for something outside of yourself is going to bring you true happiness? You've done that your whole life, and it hasn't worked. Why do we think, it's just that wasn't the right person. I have to go to the used husband store and get a new one. That wasn't the right beach. I have to go to another beach. I just think, because we've gotten lots of stuff that we aspired for. And every morning we wake up with the same thought, what can I get now? And it's always something outside. I want an object, I want recognition, I want praise and affirmation, I want. Yeah. And we're very particular with what we want. And even when we get what we want, it doesn't satisfy us. Yeah. We think sex is the ultimate happiness. That's what all the commercials are about. Yeah? Everything, sex, 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 sex. You know, one of my teachers said, if it brings you ultimate happiness, how come you have to keep doing it? Yeah. So, okay. So that doesn't mean we should get depressed. Oh, there's nothing beautiful in samsara. Oh, there's so much suffering. If we just stay there, then, then we're really confused. We think, oh, I was okay. I was happy before I start practicing Dharma. Now I think about the first two of the Four Truths and I'm depressed. Why am I Buddhist? This is ridiculous. The Buddha did not have to teach us how to be depressed. Yeah. We can be depressed all by ourselves. We can be dissatisfied all by ourselves. The Buddha doesn't teach us how to do that. The Dharma doesn't make that happen. Okay? It's the way our mind works that we're always thinking that it's some future thing out there that if I get, that's going to be it. Yeah? And so we run after one thing after another after another. Yeah. When they talk about the realm of the hungry ghosts, it's beings who, are always hungry and thirsty for something. And they run here for it, and they run here, and they run here, and they run there. And if only I get that pancake. And then they get to the pancake, and it turns into pus and blood. It's like, oh, you married, Prince Charming, and it's like, oh, he is a drag. You're disappointed. So then, oh, yeah, let's try another one. Let's try another one. So this is just what goes on in the hungry ghost realm. There's always something better outside that's going to do it for me. And when you realize that there isn't, it's not that you get depressed. It's that you go, oh, now I can enjoy what I have. I can enjoy who I am. I can look around and say, what is good enough. It's beautiful. I don't have to run after the next exciting thing. Yeah, and your mind becomes much more peaceful. Mm-hmm.
I just like to put in a plug for the Lam Rim because that's really what helps us build this Buddhist worldview.
Yes.
That if we do the meditations, we do the study, the reflection, the meditations, slowly over time we build that conviction. That conviction arises within us, even it's just a little bit at the beginning, but then you continue checking, you continue meditating, you continue building that that Buddhist worldview so that you convince yourself there is not this shiny thing outside that's going to save me. You have a different experience of, not just breathing meditation, but really what is the logic behind what we're doing here at Buddhism. So,
I'd like to share two things. In one sutra, the Buddha said that it's very difficult for people intoxicated by health, wealth, or youth to realize the Dharma. because you think everything is great. There's no problem.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult for these people to realize the Dharma is teaching. And for me, what impacted me the most in my practice, as for renunciation-wise, is deeply thinking about aging, sickness, and death. I mean, I can predict like the future or of anyone who was born. If you were born, you're gonna age, get sick, and die. There's no way out of that. So what's the point of any sense pleasure or anything or wasting my time if at the end of the day, aging, sickness, and death, I want to use my life to understand what's this life about and how to get out of that. And this is where the Buddha, to me, was such an incredible being, because he sat there and was like, what if I was looking for something that is not subject to aging, sickness, and death? It's amazing. When you think about it, who would think about something like that? Is there such a thing that is not like subject of birth, aging, sickness, and death? And he really asked himself and decided to go on that journey and found out what he found out, and he taught afterwards. But it's amazing. I don't know. For me, that's very sobering. Death, especially death. When I really think about death, there's everything feels hollow. Everything that's hollow feels hollow, and I see it as hollow. It's dissipating. It vanishes. Yeah. And what's really meaningful stays.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And that there's an alternative to all of this. That's what's important. It isn't just constant dissatisfaction and cycling and, nothing's going to bring you, I can't get no satisfaction. But there's an alternative. And that's what the Buddha taught, is the alternative, nirvana. And not just nirvana for ourselves, but being able to help other living beings who are as stuck as we are. And that becomes really meaningful.
In our online safe course that, I've facilitated, as many of us have here, it's interesting in that, we have a wide variety of participants. And I've noticed that I've had a number of, older women, maybe their 70s, their 60s, who, connect with the Dharma, especially in some of the earlier courses. And so they're really kind of getting into the Dharma for the first time, maybe. And some of them are basically like, well, once my husband dies, I'm going to move to the Abbey and become a nun. I don't have the heart to break it to them that it's not going to work out. But it's interesting to see that people who have kind of made it further in their life such that they have kind of gotten hold of every shiny thing that they've been told will bring them happiness, just sees, wow, none of that has done it. And so I think the trick is to really convince ourselves, and I think the Lamrim does really help with this, that none of these external things are going to bring us happiness, and to actually be able to practice well in this life, especially to ordain, we have to figure that out before we've actually tried every single shiny thing, or else we're probably on our deathbed when we finally figure out, wow, none of that has done that.
So you don't have to do everything, have everything, be everything to figure that out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are there any big shiny things that you would advise doing before ordaining?
Oh, you have to. When I look at my own path anyway, there were things that I had to do in order to come to the point where I understood the Dharma. Yeah. There were certain fantasies I had, and I had to live them to realize that fantasies are exactly that. They're fantasies. They are not reality. So it depends, yeah. But some things, I don't know, maybe you have to do, or maybe you can learn by looking at what other people have done. and say, you know, if I followed that same path and, you know, here's somebody who I really idolize, you know, they have the, but you know, the speedboat, they have the skis, they, you know, have the trophy husband, wife, partner, you know, and look at the lives of the people that you know that have things, and are they happy? And start with your parents. Yeah, our parents have been so kind to us, but you know, do they have, are they satisfied and fulfilled in their lives? Yeah. And so again, you know, if you can learn from others, then you have to go, you don't have to go and do it. Yeah. They say that in samsara, we've done everything. We've been everybody and we've done everything. There's the only thing we haven't done is practice the Dharma and gotten the realizations to become awakened. But everything else we've done. Yeah. So if you have that kind of worldview and you can learn from people around you, you don't have to do certain things. Some of us, you know, I know before I met the Dharma, the things that I said I had to do in order to understand this, if I had met the Dharma first, maybe I wouldn't have done those things. Yeah, but I didn't. So I did a lot of stupid things, but then you learn from your stupid things.
What helped me was paying closer attention to my mind and seeing how agitated my mind was with the craving and how painful actually that craving mind or the angry mind or the jealous mind is. Mm-hmm. And really like admitting it and sitting with that and being like, I don't want this anymore. And then on the other side, having these tiny glimpses of the ease that comes from practice, or just even the idea of things I hadn't even thought about before. How beautiful bodhicitta is compared to the pain of my self-centeredness. And the contrast of that is like, what do I want? What do I want to dedicate my life to? What do I want to prioritize? These activities, these worldly things that just seem to stir me up in ways that help no one. Or pursuing this thing that I don't even understand yet, but it seems so beautiful and so worthwhile.
Yes.
These are things that I've thought a lot about. If you want to have a very sober mind, you can come and chat with me. But once you get more open to the idea of karma, rebirth, and all of that, and you gain some conviction in that, there's also some sutras where the Buddha spoke about like he says, monastics, if you knew all the tears that you've shed from losing your parents, your husband, your wives, your daughters, and your kids, your sons, over the course of all your previous lives, there's enough tears that you've shed to fill the 4 oceans. This is enough to bring deep this passion with this cyclic existence. And there's this whole series of sutras where he speaks about that, like if you've known, like if you could see all the corpse that you've that if you had before, this would be greater than this mountain over there, like huge pile of corpses. You've been swelling the cemeteries since beginningless time. So once you get comfortable with the idea and you get conviction that this mind stream is something that continues, and you start thinking about the lives you've been having before, it's at some point you're like, wow, what about trying something else for once? I mean, I've been my perfect husband, my perfect wife. I've had that. They all died. Everything that comes together must separate. What is born must die. Why not try something different for once? So I don't know. I can show you all the sutras and then we can like renounce samsara together. Okay, I'm done now.
Yeah.
When I was a layperson, I was a caregiver for 11 months for the elderly. And it was really helpful for me to help me develop renunciation of how I, what I don't want to be like when I'm older, when I'm in my 70s and 80s, because, I'd meet all these, very kind people who had it all in their life. One guy, he was an engineer and he was very successful. He had the whole wife, kids, upper middle class. He showed me all his diplomas, his achievements on the wall. He had a doctor's son who would visit, but this guy was really lonely, and he was living in this really fancy senior home, and it was just sad. He wasn't happy at all, and this is how his life ended up. And I met a bunch of other people who I cared for who also had a lot in their life, but at the end, it really didn't look very inspiring. And I just thought, wow, what are the causes that they created to end up like this? Or what are the causes that they didn't create? And that was just really helpful for me. I didn't want to be like that.
Yeah. If you've ever been in an old folks' home, well, it depends on which old folks' home, and, but some of them outside the room, that you have, maybe a single room, double room, maybe it's well, they wouldn't have this if it's a big dormitory, but for a smaller room, then they have outside that room pictures of your whole life. Yeah. So when you're a baby and this, and you graduated from this, and you got married, and your first kid, and all your achievements, and it's outside the room, and inside the room is the elder person waiting to die. Yeah, it's yeah. Mm-hmm. What? And then? Well.
So there's the whole life.
And then, yeah. And then, yeah. Huh?
Do it again.
Yeah, do it again. Yeah. Yeah. But that's where, what the Buddha did was so remarkable, was to present an alternative to this big mess, because he was able to see exactly what caused it. Yeah. And, when you look at the various religions in the world and what they say is the cause of our misery and what to do, yeah, then you have to think about it. Yeah. Is the cause of my misery that somebody ate an apple a long time ago? Yeah. Is the cause of my misery that God created me? Oh, then you're really in trouble. Yeah. God's supposed to be kind, but he created all this mess. So it's important that you really check out these things, like what is the unsatisfactory nature of life? What is its causes? How do you go, get yourself out of creating those causes? Yeah. Well, if there's a creator God, you get it out by doing what pleases God. And what pleases God? Yeah. What pleases God? That you go to MIT? Yeah.
to say that somebody will tell you what pleases God.
Yeah. Well, definitely you could say kindness and so on. But, what pleases God seems to be saying, I love God, I believe in God. That seems to, it's a loyalty statement, kind of. Yeah. And that pleases God. Why does that please God?
I said to ask that question, it really depends who you ask, because each person will have their own interpretation of what pleases God. And today it seems like a lot of what pleases God is taking over the government and, throwing people off Medicare and Medicaid and SNAP and So, it's subjective.
Yeah. But then, then you check and you see, is that what I want to do? Do I think that system holds water? Yeah. What do I really believe? Okay. So shall we dedicate?
May the spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it, have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Lovesome's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forever.